organizing and winning your precinct. Let's go ahead and get started. Well, it's kind of hard to see, but I'll read it for you. Mr. Grassroots, it does not require a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen to set brush fires in people's minds. Raise your hand if you know who said this and who's in the picture. Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin's incorrect, but not John Adams. Next. Samuel Adams is correct. Anybody else like the beer too, by the way? It's all right.
Here, here.
Sam Adams, point of that quote that I wanted to show you guys is that right now, you guys look around this room and you have a lot of very active people that are willing to spend their Saturday. Now, we don't need 10 times your number. We just need you guys to get out and actually do some of the work. Because if you guys go out and actually door knock your precinct, that scares the Democrats to death. Republicans are very well known for getting into the phone banks and driving up phone calls. But how many times have you guys gotten a phone call for that 2 minutes that they say, who are you voting for? Would you consider voting for this person? And you totally changed your mind in that 2-minute phone call with a stranger. Anybody ever totally change their mind, decide to vote for the Democrat on a Democrat call? No. Because it's not very effective. But if you guys go out and actually spread the message, you know, of the Republican message, that's what actually engages people into it. Okay, so fundamentals about grassroots. First off, you want to obtain a list of registered voters and identify whom they are most likely to vote for. This will come through the county groups that Caleb talked about before. When we set up our data beacon, you can say, hey, you know what? I need to know who are the people that we don't know are Republicans or Democrats yet, and I'll go out to their doors, actually meet them, and find out who they're going to vote for. Second one, then you got to persuade, persuade the undecideds. This will happen after the primary. We've already kind of let our candidates know who's going to be where. Then we have to actually persuade them to vote for our guys. Third one is get out to vote. Go ahead. So, there are around 6,500 precincts in Washington State. They average 650 registered voters. And as Caleb already said, precincts are the building blocks. So there's not a lot of, 650 voters, registered voters, and you guys have seen how many people don't care to actually vote. So really, each precinct for you PCOs, you're looking at maybe you guys got to knock on 300 doors. You think you can do that between now and November? I think you guys could. Just take a little bit of time each week. It's that easy. All right, so step one, going back to identification, illuminating your precinct. I say it like that because so many of our local candidates, I saw Representative Matt Shea, where is he still here, Matt? Okay, great. Matt needs to know who to door knock because his time is very valuable. He's the #1 salesman for his campaign. So he does not want to be going to a Democrat store and another Democrat store and another Democrat store because he's not going to convince somebody like that's a very rank and file Democrat to probably vote for him. So he needs to know where the Republicans are to remind them to vote, where the independents are so he can get the swing voters. That's what your job is. Illuminate the precinct for him. Let him know by getting the data back to us, in which he will have access to the data as well. So we do that through doors and phones. Work with your county's leaders, like I said, to get that list on your cell phone or a bubble sheet, and then organize a few people, your family members, a couple of buddies, and hit your precinct and try and take it out in a week or two. And then you, like I said, I'm not a big phone call guy. I don't know how many people enjoy getting phone calls. Who really enjoys getting phone calls about politics? No, okay. We don't like doing them anymore either, so get excited about that. And basically, just call the people you can't reach in the apartment complex and so forth. So, has anybody ever seen the movie Princess Bride? Okay. So, does anybody know the name of this gentleman?
Inigo Montoya.
Okay, what did Inigo Montoya tell him?
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
You know, geez, I know we're in a church, guys, but you can be a little bit louder than this, you know. You killed my father, prepare to die. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. So you get very used to saying the same thing over and over at the door. So you will become very good at going through a very quick script and introducing yourself to these voters. And I know most of you guys know this, but dress casually, you know, be respectful, dress respectfully at the door, but you don't need to, you know, dress up like me. You don't need a tie or anything, don't feel intimidated. You can carry a clipboard if you want, the cell phone if you've got the mobile walking list that we've been talking about. And you just, and a sword, you know, because you're trying to prove your point. Absolutely. But the point is, you knock on the door, they come to the door, and right away you start your survey. Hello, my name is, not Inigo Montoya, your own name. I've got just a few quick questions. Don't argue with them, or don't debate, When we do identification, this is not the time to tell Democrats why they're wrong on every issue. This isn't the time to do that. This is just to find out whether they're a Democrat and get out of it, because you don't want to hang out with them. All right, 3 questions maximum. Find out who do you usually vote for, Republicans or Democrats? And let's be honest, a lot of us Republicans, when somebody asks us, we go, do you usually vote Republican? We go, well, I'm pretty independent. My parents are independents. They both voted. My father is 78 years old. My mother is, but she's younger, but still a little bit older. And but they both voted for one Democrat in their life, ever. We're independent voters. No, we're technically Republicans at this point, guys. And just let us know so we know not to waste too much time. Okay, so we're just finding that out. Thank them. Move on to the next door. Next slide. This is just a brief sample survey, and I know if you guys want to kind of look at this, if you PCOs, if you're building your own surveys, this is going to be really more for the county leaders to build a basic script that will help Matt. Like I said, you want to ask them, do you usually vote Democrat, Republican? What do you think of Obamacare? Sucks, right? And then probably what's the biggest issue to you? Because there are some of those voters that say, you know what? I find out where they are at on the Second Amendment, and that's the overriding issue. So we want to find out who they are. Next one. All right, don't forget to return your work. Too often, we lose that data. We have candidates, great candidates that run, losing the primaries, losing the general election, but they've done all that work, but they don't share it with anybody. And so what do? We reinvent the wheel every election cycle. The Republican Party is let's be honest, we prize individual rights, so we really don't like working in groups. Let's share it. If you feel uncomfortable with sharing it with a particular candidate, share it with the party, and then we'll share it with the candidate. But we want to help make sure our Republicans know what's going on. And so if you guys do the work, we want to make sure that we can help our candidates out. All right, number 2. So we've gone through the primary, and our guys are winning. Now we need to persuade the independents and swing voters. Candidates have their own message. So they'll tell you in their literature, we've seen tons of, has anybody got any literature with them? Anybody, show of hands, who's got one that I can prove with? Okay. See, Matt, perfect. Okay. Experience, education, and some awards. Right away. 3 things that you can talk about at the door, provided by Matt on his literature. So right away, you guys are armed, and I'm sure, balanced budget amendments, right priorities, jobs, public safety. So he's got it all listed for you. You don't have to come up with your own speech at the door. These are the things that the candidates want you to talk about when you're at the door. All right, and it's better, go back, maybe. Just get the literature before you go out, because every time you knock on somebody's door, as soon as they open the door, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya, here's my piece of literature of these candidates that I want to introduce you to. If you say, would you like one? How many people ever say, could I get a piece of literature? Nobody. Just give it to them. If you sit there and go like this, people feel obligated to take things from you when you hand it to them, right? All right. But yeah, we're going to be visiting the people that we've already identified as those absolutely true independent voters. All right, so by this time, this is the second time you're at these people's doors, because we've already identified them as independent. So they're welcoming you back. Let them know, hey, I was here 2 months ago. You might remember me. I'm the Republican, and I'm actually trying to get to know you. I'm not just showing up 2 months before the election saying, vote for my guy. I'm actually trying to build a relationship with you. Rekindle that. Actually listen to them. My parents are excellent Fox News watchers. Does anybody else here like Fox News? Anybody listen to Rush Limbaugh at all? Does anybody then go and kind of complain, you know what I heard on Rush the other day? He's so right, so right. The independent voter does not care what Rush said. We love that stuff. We love that stuff. But we have to actually listen to what the independent wants to talk about. And they don't typically, the reason why they're independent is because they don't listen to Rush Limbaugh or Fox News. So we've got to find a way to sell our message to them so that they can actually understand it. Okay. And basically, so you're going to hand them the literature, listen to them, tell them a little bit about the ideas, and then ask if the candidates can count on their vote. All right, so I'm going to go kind of briefly through this one, but door-to-door conversations All right, this is going to be an interesting one. How many people have heard that, you know, Republicans, you guys are anti-union. You don't care about blue-collar workers. You guys heard this? Right. So do we have any Liberty guys? Liberty? A few people? Great. Yeah. How many of you have been called isolationists? You don't ever want to get involved, ever. No, you don't even like diplomacy or trade. You know, you like cutting taxes, or you want to put money back in the pockets of the working families. These are all words that a lot of times the Democrats use. For example, who knows who popularized the word capitalism? Who were the first people that started to really make it very popular? Let's go towards the back. Who made capitalism a very popular word? Romans? Not quite, but I like you're going back. Think who said that? Karl Marx is correct. Why would we let a communist say what we stand for? Capitalism? Why would you use a communist word? We use free market enterprise. Because you think about it, well, the economy collapsed because we were capitalists. We were crony capitalists, too capitalists. Well, no, it's actually because we was over-regulation, but that's why we talk about free market enterprise. We don't use Democrat language to describe ourselves. We come up with our own words. Thank you very much. There was, they got cut off, I guess. Affirmative action, or you in favor of racial preferences. Yeah. You know, these are all words that we hear at the door that, oh, I don't want to support him because he's a capitalist. No, actually, he supports you getting involved in investing money and trying to make money and working hard and actually collecting your paycheck and letting the free market work. That's what we believe in. And it sounds a lot more positive. Sorry, there's a quick question? Yes?
I have to say, I think there are a lot of people that are uninformed and they don't know what free market enterprise is. We're talking to uninformed voters. Trust me.
Oh, I totally understand. And I would love to go into that, but I know you guys want to get to the platform too, so I will push forward. Go ahead, next one. So basically, yeah, I want you guys to stay on the candidate's message. Don't go overboard, but you can have a conversation with them when they say, well, you know, I heard that you guys, you guys don't support women's rights. Actually, I support the life of all the unborn, including women, and I want them to be born. So you don't have to go and try and argue with them, but you can kind of spin that. So hence the freedom fries and terrorist talk. Okay, last thing, get out the vote. We've already identified them. We've persuaded them. We've locked in the swing voters. Now we have to call them and get their votes back out. 80%, of the people that say that they're going to vote, every election, don't worry, I vote, 80% of them do. So we lose 20% of those people that say, I always vote. No, you don't. So let's get that higher. Go to the next one. Manage your schedule. There's plenty of time to do this, guys. There really is. To go out and ID, you have time from now till about mid-July to go out and hit those 300 doors per precinct. Then let's go out and start. Then we have a little bit of get out the vote to raise our numbers in the primary. Persuasion right after the primary into November. And then we get out the vote again so that we go over the top. All right, and useful tips. Again, some basics. I'm just going to kind of gloss over some of these, but meet with volunteers is needed. A lot of organizations have meetings just to have meetings. Go out and do the work. Have that meeting, and then go do the work. Go ahead and never do anything illegal. That's Democrats take down signs. We don't take down signs. All right, conclusion. PCOs, I saw a lot of you guys in here. You are the leaders of this operation. We need you guys to lead and hold each other accountable. You were elected to represent the Republican Party. That's what we want you to do. Data and information, don't lose it. That is gold. Even if you lose a race, even if you were working for another candidate that was a Republican and he lost, that information is still very important to us. Because even if it's just, well, I found out where 100 Democrats are, good. We won't be trying to talk to them next time. Build a relationship with your precinct. I'm Inigo Montoya, and then they're going to remember you when you come back again. Keep on schedule, and remember, the door knocking can get out the vote. I know people love ads. I know people love social media and that kind of stuff. This is what wins elections. Meeting people, actually having conversations at the door. None of this slick stuff. So that's all I've got for you guys, and I appreciate your patience with me and your participation. I'd now like to introduce our new media and technology director, Steve Barron.
patchwork quilt, we don't always agree. I know you're going to agree 100% with this. New media is fast. Social media is fast. I'm going to be fast. 5 minutes. Hold me to it. You got my Asian? Social media, Facebook, Twitter is essential. It's constantly evolving, but it is essential. It's for building relationships with volunteers, with activists, with voters. Next slide. Twitter and Facebook are not identical. They're so important, though. And, of course, all your candidates and elected officials should be, if they're not already, on Twitter and Facebook. They should have somebody dedicated to making sure it's used properly. But I guess, how many of you are on Twitter and or Facebook? Almost everybody. How many of you probably have more Facebook friends and more Twitter followers than your candidates? Do you see how important what you are doing to elect and re-elect the elected officials, like Baumgartner and Matt Shea and others? By the way, I'm from Seattle. We never get to say the word re-elect, so I'm glad. Next slide. The candidate is 100% responsible. So you want to be every campaign and all supportive when you're supporting your candidate, when you're resharing and retweeting. Keep in mind, everything on social media is permanent, and if it's bad, the candidate is 100% responsible. Next slide. Avoid insults, personal attacks, hyperbole, inflammatory language that never won over anybody, even if you're right. How many people are familiar with Senator Joe Fitzgibbon of Seattle, Democrat, very safe seat, and his Arizona? Next slide. Here's what he tweeted when the Seahawks lost a game to the Arizona Cardinals. Losing a football game sucks. I'm sorry, it's in church, but losing to a desert racist wasteland sucks a lot. This is not a good branding for the Democratic Party. Although his seat is safe, this went national on ESPN, Fox Sports, and everywhere in Arizona, hurting the Democratic brand. So don't let your candidates make similar mistakes. Next slide. We were able to tweet, following the Seahawks loss to the Arizona Cardinals, Democratic rep so-and-so took to the Twitter to insult Arizonans. And then even though he had taken the tweet down, we put a link to a picture. Next slide.
Nice.
We'll skip this one. Next one. I'm going to give a case study of how to retweet. Susan gave a great speech in Yakima last month. And the Yakima Herald had a great article that if you read the article, you'd see the points that she made about patchwork quilt earlier. Next slide. You can't read it, but the Yakima Herald tweeted, Susan Hutchinson speaks at Republican event. That's not worth retweeting. That's not useful. We took the same link, and next slide. You can't read it, but we said 300 people hear Susan Hutchinson on dependency versus European style, freedom versus European style dependency. So you have to re-message. Since you have more friends and followers than some of the candidates, you have a great responsibility. Next slide. And on Facebook, we were able to put the entire quote, because we are allowed more than 40 characters. Next slide. So, I tried to stay under 5 minutes. We are here for you. The Washington State Republican Party wants to help you, so communicate back and forth with us. We'll communicate back and forth. Let's consider this a beginning. Let's stay in touch. Let's have an open line of communication. We'll help you in all regards. And here is Susan.
Thank you, Steve. I want you to know, folks, that this is just the start. You got a brief overview, really brief. You could tell by those slides there's way more there, and I think there was something technically that kind of squished a few of them so you couldn't fully read them. But just know that we've got this information for you. You are the first group we have presented for our regional training conferences. And so any ideas you have of things that you need, you just go on the Washington State Republican Party website and speak to us. WSRP.org comes up right away when you Google it, no matter where you are, and contact us, and then we will get you the information, any information you need. But stay tuned. The RNC is going to release Data Beacon, which you saw just briefly, in a week. And then we're gonna get the walking apps, and then we're gonna put everybody, give you power and get out there on the street. So we're excited for you, we're excited for our party, we're excited for our state. When I say, when I meet with people, the press particularly, I say I was elected to make sure that we elect good Republicans, to work with good Democrats, to do good for the people of Washington State. And even Democrats can live with that statement. Honest to goodness, folks, this state so desperately needs more Republicans to set our state right. You're the start of that, and we are the start of something very big that's coming. Thank you.
Let's hear one more little round of applause for Susan. Larry Haskell, I agreed to give everybody just a couple of quick minutes, and then we're going to get in and start with the old red pen and get on this.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to stand in front of this convention. And it is so good to be standing in front of the Republican Party. My name is Larry Haskell, and I am running for county prosecutor here in Spokane County. Briefly on my background, I know I get 2 minutes. I am a retired Air Force officer. I flew B-52 and B-1 bombers, and I have some combat experience in the most recent conflict in Iraqi freedom. In and around that, I got my law degree from Seattle University, and I started working for the Spokane County Prosecutor's Office in 1998. And with the exception of a 3-year stint on active duty after 9/11, and 1 year as an assistant United States attorney with Mike Ormsby here in the Eastern District of Washington, I've been with the Spokane County Prosecutor's Office exclusively since 1998. Primarily, after working through district court and a number of other units, I've been prosecuting gang members since 2006. The issue, the main issue in this election for us is to decide whether or not being tough on crime and holding offenders accountable is incompatible with saving money for the county. There's criminal justice reform movements going on across the nation, and they're also affecting us here in Spokane County. But I'm here to say that we can still hold offenders accountable and save the county money. We can still be tough on crime and still give treatment when it's appropriate. And if I'm elected, I'm going to do those things, and I'm also going to work with our legislators who are present, most of them, here from this district and the neighboring districts, to lobby for legislation that will hold property offenders who are chronic in terms of their activity accountable by giving them longer sentences. If they need treatment, we're going to make sure they get it, and we're going to control the setting in which they get it and keep them away from the community. They're affecting the lifeblood of what goes on in Spokane, and that is our local businesses as well as each of the individual residents' property. My opponent wants to flood them with services in the hopes that they will sin no more. I firmly believe that by the decisions that we as elected officials make, we encourage people to behave in certain ways. I do not believe you are holding them accountable nor encouraging them to not commit crimes if you're just going to give them a bunch of services. We should be giving those services to people that don't commit crimes as a reward for not committing crimes. In any case, I ask for your support. I've got some signs and my palm cards out there. I look forward to meeting you, and thank you again very much for allowing me to appear in front of you. Thank you.